The Game is Nightmare by Charles Lockley. Two good friends, Brandon and Jonathan, are in an arcade one day. Brandon is playing Galactical Chaos, and he is trying to run up the score. Next, he begins to imagine, what would it be like to be part of the game itself? Next, something weird happens. His hand starts to deteriorate, and his body starts to do the same thing. Next thing you know, he is pulled into the machine. His friend Jonathan looks on with terror. Brandon gets pulled into a warp, and Jonathan can see him on the arcade screen. Next, he is inside a spacecraft in the game. As he flies forward, he notices an alien blocking his path. Lucky for him, he had his trusty hyper blaster handy. Weapons engaged, Brandon begins to fight. Not only did he destroy all the aliens, but he continued to run up the scoreboard as well. No matter how hard he tried, Jonathan could not control Brandon's spacecraft. He was on his own. Next, Brandon is pulled into a warp again. Now he's in the middle of his favorite game, Fantasyland. He looks around and he studies his environment. Jonathan still couldn't control him. Brandon looks up, then he admires one of the onyx jewels in the air. Since the hero of the game is always able to jump up and get it, Brandon went for it. He jumps 3 times higher than a normal human could, and he grabs it. Before he could land, he was pulled into a warp again. He is placed in the 4th quarter in his favorite sports game, All-Star Rumble Football. His team is trailing the Monsters by 3 with 38 seconds left. It is 4th down and 20, and the All-Stars are lined up for one last shot at it. Brandon is a wideout on the far right. He doesn't know the play or what to do, so he stands there nervous. They hike the ball, and the Monsters blitz. Without time to throw, the quarterback lets it fly. The ball flies in Brandon's direction. Being more athletic than he actually is, Brandon quickly accelerates to the ball. Then he is able to reach out and grab it. With the defender closing in, Brandon is able to turn on the Jets. Next, he crosses the goal line. Touchdown. All-Stars win. Brandon celebrates, but a ref steps in and throws his flag. Brandon is penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct for removing his helmet. Next, Brandon is yanked back into the warp again. It was what he feared most. He is placed in the Ghost Castle scenario in one of his favorite games, Outer Enchantment. At a distance is the castle. Then Brandon turns around and he sees a wolf near a bush. He doesn't want to go to the castle, but it's the only way. He makes a run for it. The wolf gives chase. He also notices something else. He isn't given knight's armor or doesn't have any weaponry as the normal hero does. He can't run with blazing speed anymore or jump over trees. He's just plain old Brandon. He thinks to himself, either this fantasy world is coming to an end or he's just trapped in here forever. He makes it to the main entrance and scrambles for the castle door. The wolf no longer gives chase since he knows Brandon doesn't stand a chance in the castle. He enters and he studies his surroundings. He can see the chandelier, the dining table, and a never-ending staircase. Next, the door shuts and he sees trouble. Oh yes, he sees a witch, a goblin, a skeleton fighter, and of course, a ghost. With no powers, he makes a run for the halls of terror. The ghost gives chase. Next thing you know, Brandon is warped again. This time he is thrown out of the game. Without looking back, Brandon runs out of the arcade and runs home. So much for video games, huh? That's it.